The following is a production of Frank DeFreitas and the Internet Webmuseum of Holography.
Hello everyone, this is Frank DeFreitas and welcome to another week of HoloTalk for the week of April 5th, 1999. My guest this week is Rhody from Ross Books, and Alan is going to come on the show to tell listeners about the release of their 8th edition of the Holography Marketplace, which is the reference guide for those working in the field of holography and those who also need to get more information about those working in the field of holography. What's special about this 8th edition is that it contains a full-color photopolymer hologram on its cover, manufactured by Dynapon in Japan. And this is the first publication in the world to have a color hologram on its cover. And it makes it basically a collector's item for this 8th edition. The Holography Marketplace is quite a bit more than just a listing of who is working in the field of holography. Contained within its cover, you can also find information on what holograms are, how holograms are made, the different types of holograms and how they differ from one another, the different types of lasers that are used to make holograms, and a lot of other technical information also, especially for this issue, a lot of technical information on the new emulsions, such as those from BB plates from Germany and Slavic materials, a lot of technical specifications on those as well. So it's really a working guide for a lot of people that are working in the field of holography as well. It's a very valuable tool for the art world, for art directors and different people who are working in the creative fields who someday may have to make specifications or specify a job that will contain a hologram, and it gives them a lot of background information so they can make intelligent decisions and intelligent choices as to what a hologram is capable of doing and also what it's not capable of doing. And it gets them right in the ball game very quickly. So it's a great publication. I look forward to receiving it all the time. And I think I may even be one of the first people to call, because I know as soon as I get the announcement in the mail, I walk right over to the phone and call and order my copy. And I read that copy from cover to cover. We're going to take a break from the laser diode and laser pointer holography reports this week. But next week I'd like to get back on track with that. In this studio, here in my studio in Allentown, Pennsylvania, we were able to make a hologram using one of the higher power diodes, the higher power being relatively speaking compared to the laser pointers. We used a 15 milliwatt, 635 nanometer semiconductor diode to create a hologram here. It was a very good test. I do have some photos and some information up on the web already, so if you go to my laser pointer part of my website, you'll be able to see the latest report on using this diode. And this is very exciting because it's moving us into the higher powers. And I'm looking forward to continuing to do experiments to see how high we can go. Can we go up into the 30 milliwatt range? Can we go into the half watt, 500 milliwatt range and have very high power diodes creating holograms? So we'll get back on that next week, and we'll concentrate on the interview with Rhody this week. So I'm not going to come back on after the interview is over, so I will say thank you for tuning in now, and I hope you tune in each and every week to HoloTalk to get news and information and guests and interviews for the field of lasers and holography. And after this message, we will be right back with the interview with Rhody from Ross Books. Thanks for tuning in. See you next week.
Would you like to make your own one-of-a-kind hologram and learn how you can start making holograms on your own at the same time? You can do this and much more by attending one of Frank DeFreitas' holography workshops. From beginner to advanced, Frank's got a workshop that's just right for you. From single afternoon, evening, or weekend introductory workshops to Wednesday evening, 5-week complete courses. And don't forget his newest workshop, Laser Pointer Holography. Located just off the northeast extension of the Pennsylvania Turnpike and Interstate 78, the studio is a quick, non-stop drive from the New York, Philadelphia, and Baltimore, Washington, D.C. areas. For more information, call the studio's toll-free hotline at 1-800-458 and begin your own journey with holography today. That's 1-800-458-3525 for more information on attending a Frank DeFreitas holography workshop today.
Alan, it's Frank DeFreitas. How are you?
Hi, Frank. I'm just fine.
I gave you a call so that the HoloTalk listeners can get an update on your latest 8th edition of the Holography Marketplace.
Fantastic.
And it's that time again. It's always a welcome sight to see the Holography Marketplace arrive in the mail.
Thank you. We got a good one this year.
Oh, you certainly do. Why don't we start off with probably the biggest news? Of course, that's for you to decide what the biggest news or not, but the biggest news to me was that cover.
The cover hologram represents, I think, the first true color, which is full color, mass-produced hologram that is produced on photopolymer, a very practical plastic material, practical to use, and it was produced by Nippon, the largest printing company in Japan, on a DuPont material, DuPont photopolymer. They call it a true color material because every color can be replicated realistically. Mm-hmm. In the samples they sent us originally, they had blacks, they had whites, the full colors, hard colors to reproduce like brown. So it's pretty remarkable technology. They're the first ones really to put it out.
And I was surprised to see the whole process explained right in the marketplace itself.
Yeah,
pretty much most of it.
We got in touch with the guys that actually make them. Nippon has been working with DuPont over 10 years because Nippon also makes embossed holograms, and they've had a good working relationship, but they were the first company really to put together the lasers, the replicator. Other people have made full-color holograms. Other people have experimented with them a little on the full-color material, but this is the first commercial mass production. They did a job of trading cards in Japan, some Astro Boy trading cards. They sent us some samples that were relatively large compared to all the other photopolymer samples out there. Mm-hmm. It was a 5-inch by 7-inch scene, and we cut it in half for the cover of the book of parrots in a jungle, and you can see the parrots have red, blue, green, yellow. They're sitting on brown branches, and the image appears to be about 3-ish inches deep.
Yeah.
It's nice and clear. It's nice and bright. It's viewable in a wide variety of lighting conditions. Good lighting. It appears the best, but it has a lot of commercial applications.
I found that the image actually exceeds the thickness of the book.
Yeah, that's
which
pretty
is amazing. It's almost like a hole in the middle of the book.
Right through the book.
Now, for listeners who may be logging on that may not be familiar with the holography marketplace, why don't you just take a few moments to explain in general what it is and what it's about?
Ross Books started publishing holography-related materials back in 1982 when they brought out the Holography Handbook. And there wasn't much of a holography industry back then. What existed was really the retail marketplace for holographic art and giftware. Commercially, it started being used a lot in the mid-'80s when manufacturers figured out how to hot stamp one type of hologram embossed foils onto paper and cardboard. Mm-hmm. So the industry developed, and we started tracking the industry in 1989 with a book called The Holography Marketplace, which is a business directory that's updated regularly, and text and reference material. And then what makes the book extra unique is the manufacturers put holograms in the book, so it acts like a sample kit for people that either collect holograms or want to see what the manufacturers have to offer, what's available to them to actually purchase. Some people might look at the book and say, yeah, I want a hologram like on page 17. Mm-hmm. Other people, no, I like this kind that's on page 27.
Yeah.
So the book is now coming out annually. It's about 250 pages, $22.95, ship it anywhere in the world for additional UPS or postal charge. And it's got 20 holograms in it. This year, each year we feature a new state-of-the-art hologram on the cover that represents what's either coming right out of the research labs or available in the top manufacturers.
You couldn't buy those holograms for $20. Probably just one of those holograms would cost more than $22.95.
Yeah, the one on the cover this year, if it was available, if it was invented, way back when, it'd probably be about a $70 hologram.
Yeah.
Matted and framed up, which we encourage people to do. Buy 2 and keep one on the bookshelf.
Hey, I've been thinking about that.
Save one up yourself.
Yeah.
It's going to be a real collector's item because it's analogous to the first color photograph.
Yeah.
That's out. And, I'm sure in 10 years these will be commonplace. And there are a couple companies in the United States, working with DuPont to start production. Since the stuff is so rare and only a few people can do it, the natural commercial application is security. Because anytime only one factory can make something, it makes it, hard to copy. So DuPont and a couple manufacturers want to use this material for security purposes, but at least the Japanese and 1 or 2 other companies are either doing, ongoing research or trying to start commercial display applications, signage, or maybe replicating artwork, or in this case, doing everything from trading cards to, at point-of-purchase displays, premiums, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So right now, there's really only one plant in commercial production in the world, and that is Dainippon of Japan.
Now, if you're listening to the show, I want you to grab a pencil and paper because I'm going to ask Alan in just a few moments to give the contact information on ordering your own copy of Holography Marketplace. So you might want to reach into the desk or wherever you happen to have your pencil and paper stored and get that ready so you can write this down. And we'll also have a link right to the Ross Books website. Now, if you're listening to this and you think that you're an amateur or hobbyist holographer or something like that and you're not really interested in what other companies are working with holography, the Holography Marketplace is actually a whole lot more than that. From what I was able to sit down and read so far, and I do read every issue of these from cover to cover, even the listings, every page, you have a lot of information in there on what holograms are, how lasers work. I mean, it's almost like an instruction guide, right?
Well, yes, because it's primarily meant for the intelligent business person that wants to use holography but might only know what he's heard in the movies. So it starts off very basic. Every chapter starts off very basic. We break it into the basics, an introduction to holography, what it's all about, how you can use them, how many of them are around in the world today. And then if you want to make them yourself, the basic theory behind them. And then as the chapters go on, it gets more in-depth on materials and the lasers and more commercial applications. But each chapter, we actually intend it consciously to start. Anybody can understand it. Yeah, a couple formulas and things are thrown in at the end for the people that need that too.
Yeah. I found it very valuable to have a comprehensive listing of all the technical specifications for the new emulsions, which are really hard to find.
Right. The guys that are making holograms on a day-to-day basis will appreciate the book. And then, again, for the person that's just starting out or just the artist, the designer who's never going to make a hologram but might have to design one, or
yes.
Their company, president comes in the door, hey, what's going on? How can we use these? They have to come up with some answers. They might not actually be in the lab making them, but we have to give them some information they can use too. A lot of holograms now are being made with video footage and computer footage and digital data that people have around. And there's a chapter that says, how you can integrate that and make a hologram out of that.
Yeah, it's probably really important for art directors and people who are working on the creative end of it to understand what this process is like. I get emails all the time. A few weeks ago, I got an email from a guy asking, would it be possible to make a holographic parade float? And how would it be able to be used in the daytime, or could the street lights illuminate the parade float as it came down the street? And
that'd be great.
Yeah, it would be great, but it's a wild idea. I mean, we're not going to see any holographic parade floats coming down the street.
Not for a while.
but a book like this.
Not until about 10 o'clock tonight.
A book like this would give artists, art directors, and some of the other people working in production studios an opportunity to see what holography is capable of doing and also what it's not capable of doing, because it's not capable of doing a lot of the things that people think that it can.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We have that in chapter 2. We actually do have an article in there this year about the myths of holography, written by a guy that makes holograms for display and exhibition every day. So, there's some good information in there.
Are the listings up or down as far as people working in the field of holography for this issue?
Listings are up. It's spreading out. Well, we're also reaching many more people through the Internet.
Mm-hmm.
So it's probably a combination of there's more businesses, more specialized businesses, and we're just hitting a lot more people that we couldn't several years ago, because it was just fax machines.
Yeah.
And now, we can put out an Internet search, and we get emails every day from all across the world.
Yeah.
We send the book out all over the world.
Yeah. How about if you give people information on how they can order the holography marketplace from you? And like I said, we'll also have a link to your website. If they can order it also from the web?
Exactly.
Yeah.
The easiest way to get a hold of us, since you're at your computer, is email. We're at sales@rossbooks.com. And our website is www.rossbooks.com. Ross Books, all one word. That's the name of our company. And by phone, you can get a hold of us if you're in the U.S., 1-800-367-0930. International is 510-841-2474. And the old-fashioned fax machine, 510-841-2695. And our address is Ross Books, R-O-S-S, separate word, books, P.O. Box 4340, Berkeley, California, 94704.
There you go. Now,
we're always here.
Your first issue of this is a collector's item now.
$500.
Yeah.
We didn't realize that there's a book collector's market, but don't really even care that it's a holography book. But since it can never be reprinted because these holograms will never be made again, it's very valuable in that it's a limited edition.
Yeah.
And now the book collectors are learning all about holography.
Yeah.
So, keep them all. We're actually selling the back editions, too, for a very nice price, and put the kids through college one day off them.
Yeah, it's also a great historical record of holography in the field as well, those collections.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. There's some pioneers in there.
Well, Alan, I want to thank you for being a guest and taking the time to come on a few minutes to talk with us about this latest 8th edition of the holography marketplace, and wish you good luck with it this time around, just as you've had in the past with the other editions as well.
My pleasure. Last thing I want to say is just keep visiting that Holy World website.
Thank you.
That's a great one.
Okay. Alan, take care.
Talk to you later.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.